Hello, and welcome to the Armored Combat Escalation Service Podcast, Episode 9. Today is Monday, January 12th, 2015. I am your host, also known as Brandon. I'm your host, Brandon, also known as Cattra, Kell. I almost foobarred there on the opening. I'm just going to make it a quick and simple podcast today. There's not really a whole lot of... Everyone's doing community warfare today. So I am going to just go over a few quick things. I have no one in with me yet, so we'll see how that goes after time. So we've had quite a few number of people either come back to MechWarrior Online that used to be in ACES, and as well as new people entering into ACES now for the first time. And as such, I would like to give the reminder that anyone can send an invite to the ACES faction on MWO. We are currently contracted to Davian for a couple more days, and then we'll see where it goes from there. So if you do not have your unit tags in game, please get a hold of someone with tags, and they'll be able to get you into the unit. This is for the officers in ACES. Reminder to keep the calendar, Twitter, and Facebook updated. Adam cannot be the only one doing it. Secondly, sending emails. Please hold back on them. We currently got into some trouble, as some people may know. We recently had the ACES website pulled for about 24 hours because of the amount of emails sent. So if you are sending emails, please hold back on them. We'll try to see what's going on or work our way around there. Hey, Tycheron, how's it going?
Hey, not much. Just helping one of our older members who has been sitting on reserve for a while get back into the swing of things, get them tagged up, filled in on some of the changes that have happened, and especially community warfare, because
that's a big one to get back into.
And so hopefully he's right now reviewing all of his mechs because he got the 3 freebies, the Atlas, the Centurion, and the King Crab.
And, that's going to be fun for him then.
Yeah, and he was like, where did these come from? Why are they in my account? And so, giving him a quick rundown of what was going on there.
Excellent. I'm still just going through a little bit of the news, as well as some upcoming events. I decided that this one, there's not really a whole much to talk about, just a few things that happened over the Christmas break. Speaking of which, how was your Christmas and New Year's? Anyway.
Pretty good. With community warfare, it was, a little busier in game than I was expecting. The stocking stuffer event, of course, was great. Got all of my 100 stockings, made out pretty well. Wasn't too naughty. Spent Christmas with the family. New Year's, was quiet, but everything was good. I can't complain.
It's excellent to hear. So yeah, like I was saying, we're just going through things real quick, because honestly, until I'd say probably February, things aren't going to get really newsworthy again as far as games and stuff like that goes. Depending, you never know. There could be some big community warfare event type thing happening that's player run. Like, for some reason, everyone goes only 2 factions or something. Then we would probably have something to talk about. But as of right now, not really a whole lot to talk about. So, as I was saying, back to some news updates and stuff like that. For officers, again, news on the front page needs to be updated at least every 3 days, or at least put something up there. There's also in the officer section like I said, we're going to hold back on the emails a little bit for now, but there is instructions on how to use the mass emailer, that sort of thing. To get the Maverick icon changed on the website, that is in progress. Darren just has to get me the new FTP information, because our host changed up all the information again on us. So that's always fun. So moving on to new members and promotions from the past probably month and some. Geez, the number of new people. It's insane how many new people have joined the unit in the past month. I think a combination of community warfare and getting our names on planets, and now everyone decides to show up. Hi, everybody. But yeah, just a combination of everything. We have a ton of new people, so make sure you keep checking out that hiring hall, and on those pending applications, make sure you get some of those new applicants in the drops with you, and make sure you leave your feedback for them, for us to know if someone's a good fit or not for ACES. That's very important and always should be pinned up there with something we should be doing always. As far as promotions, I don't think there was any.
There are a couple people that need to get promoted. It's just the Aces have not been keeping up on that, and the Kings have yet to overreach themselves to do so.
All right, leave me a list there after, and I'll
Okay.
see what needs to be done. Moving on to upcoming events. So Monday practice is at 8 p.m. Eastern. That's every Monday.
Actually, no, that's no
No?
longer Monday.
Oh yeah,
It's
that's right. That's
Wednesday
the
now.
yeah. Never mind. That's got changed to when?
So Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern. That is currently the only scheduled practice now. Is one day a week, Wednesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern. We usually go for about 2.5 hours. Iron Warsmith is currently running those. Most other nights you can find myself, Tirkon, or Shimmering Sword running community warfare drops. Mecha Kaiju is usually running regular group drops. And depending on how much of a population boom we have on those nights, we might be doing other things. We might be doing all community warfare drops, or we might just be doing regular group drops.
Yeah, completely. That's how out of date my notes are here. I haven't touched these notes or anything like that since the Christmas break, so that just got updated. We also have the ACES tournament. Everything's all set and go. We do have a date where we'd like to have it tested by, so there'll probably be some
Yeah,
more.
well, yeah, we're working on it.
We're working on it. All right.
Yeah.
I thought we had a date that we were going to do it by, or at least before, or
Iron
try
would
to.
like to do the 14th of January. That is what he said to a number of the officers, and what he's been telling people, and what he just got up on the forums. That might change, but currently that is the date that we are aiming for testing.
Excellent. And of course, there will be a post going up sometime soon, but there will be an all hands meeting with all of ACES sometime soon. We're hoping probably the last week of January or first week of February. So keep an eye out for that sort of stuff. So let's move down into our really quick general talk area. One thing I want to go over real quick, maybe Tycron can help me out a little bit, but is if you guys didn't know, the officers sat down and we actually had a meeting that went for probably about almost, 2 hours? Something like that?
Yeah, just about 2 hours.
Yeah. So we sat down, we talked about a couple of things, and some of the stuff that we wanted to do is one, we're going to try to get a video series started for ACES, and this is going to be mainly like training videos and how-to type videos. That should start. Hopefully, the first one will be finished up here around the beginning. I think we're aiming for the first week of February for the first one, and they're going to be small little couple-minute things. It's going to be training supplements, as well as like I said, a how-to type of stuff for new people to come in or people to see how certain things are performed. I think it's a very good idea. Of course, another thing that was talked about was the ACES tournament. I think that's when we decided to have the test before a certain date. We're going to try to have some more event night type things. Am I missing anything else there, Turkron?
No, I think that's it for right now. I don't think there's anything else at the moment.
Fantastic. So, general talk, I'm going to open this up to anyone and everyone. Community warfare, how are things going?
Well, community warfare is at the moment a mixed bag. It started out very, very strong just before the holidays. The holidays have kind of mellowed it out. A lot of factions saw their populations take a steep drop, and there have been some issues, mainly dealing with how easy it is to win just by doing the Zerg Rush, or the Light Blitz as it is also known, basically taking nothing but light mechs or one heavier mech to get up to that minimum 140, I'm sorry, 160 Now, drop weight and basically just running light wave after light wave after light wave to attack the secondary generators and then the main generator. Uh, a lot of teams, including ACES, have been doing that in order to chalk up, quick wins on planets that need them. And a lot of people have been expressing their displeasure, including members of ACES that have been doing it, that it is not fun to just run, blitzes like that. We want to, have to really fight over an objective, but currently there is no reason to when such a tactic is so successful. Uh, there's also been complaints about, you know, how the maps work. Boreal Vault is currently the favorite map because it is viable to both attack on it and defend on it. Sulfurous Rift is not very pleasant. It is good to attack on, but defending on it is next to impossible against a well-coordinated enemy. Unlike Boreal, where you actually have a fighting chance against a well-coordinated opponent, Sulfurous, you probably will not be able to hold. You might be able to fend off one wave, maybe two, but it's very doubtful you'll make it past the third wave of mechs coming at you. It's just too difficult to try to hold it with the way it is set up geographically. I know there have been a number of people that have tried different tactics to try to hold it, and it doesn't work. It's too easy for defenders to get strung out. It's too easy for attackers to go for both the secondary gens and the main gen. There is no good way to defend it and win on it currently.
Go ahead there, Dots.
All my points are made.
Okay. Yeah, I think the overall consensus, or at least what I've been reading on the forum / every other cesspit on the internet, is that yeah, Boreal by far is a very good and very thought out map. Meanwhile, Sulfur is different. No, I'm not going to make my opinion either good or bad, but it's definitely different. It's harder for defenders because there are 3 ways to go, but also that the generators that need to be killed are way too close together, especially the final one, way too close to the entry point. So there's no open area where you could get some ground in for a fight if you're both an attacker or a defender. I think maybe a solution to this would be taking the generator and maybe opening up the back part of the base where it's currently cliff face, opening it up a little bit more and moving the generator back, so it kind of all 3 ways filter into like a central area, and then they have to push forward again. So there is a small little like brawling area that could happen. Don't know if that's going to happen or not, but I think that could be a potential solution.
I think another potential solution is actually moving some of the gates out. Gamma Gate and Alpha Gate especially are, in my opinion, far too close to the base to be viable. Beta Gate is far enough out that when it is struck, a defender can reposition to try to hold it, but that's still difficult. Unlike Boreal, there's really no good way to fire on mechs that are attacking any of those gates. You can try to position mechs up on small ramps and hills by the gates, but there's no good. Unlike Boreal, where you can actually form a firing line to, hit mechs that are moving up the ramp to attack the generator, on Sulfurous, that's just not possible. And on both Alpha Gate and Gamma Gate, you don't even need to take the ramp to attack the gate generators. They are positioned in such a way that you can shoot them from the ground. You can completely be, hidden from the enemy's return fire unless they have a light mech or a fast jumper that can get out there, pop a UAV, and you have LRM boats on your side. It's almost next to impossible to hold any of, either Alpha or Gamma Gate in that sense. So they either need to reposition generators or they need to move the gates out to be a little farther and redesign some of the geography to, be more like that middle beta gate area where you have a longer firing avenue for the defenders where the attacker actually does have to kind of, push through and brawl a little bit more to get in range of those first of any of the generators, be they secondary or the gun generator on Omega that's labeled Omega.
I completely agree. I think it was an interesting idea in concept because I can definitely see what they were going for. I think on paper it works, but as far as actually in gameplay, perhaps not as much as what they were hoping for. Let's shift because I think we can pretty much the past month or so community warfare hasn't really changed all that much, but the meta perhaps might have. Let's talk about the Thunderbolt PPCs that will probably get a nerf down the line. Go ahead there, Tierkron.
The funny thing is, there currently are two main Thunderbolts. There's the 5SS and there's the 9S. The 5SS was the Thunderbolt that, when it was originally quirked, had a number of medium pulse laser buffs to it, and it was incredibly effective, boating 7 medium pulse, being able to alpha them almost 4 or 5 times before shutting down. And PGI went on their second quirk pass, the requirkening, and they changed those medium pulse buffs to more general laser buffs, general energy buffs, and toned them down a little bit. That helped a little with it. It's still very effective with the 7 medium pulse. It's not as, deadly as it originally was. So you can, survive against one if you play smart, which I think should be the goal of taking any mech, that if you play it right, you can be incredibly effective with it, and you can be incredibly effective against it. The 9S got the PPC quirks, but the funny thing is that while it did get some PPC quirks, the ER large laser, just using the general energy quirks on it, are, in some opinions, far more effective. And then this goes back to the 5SS, because of the general quirking on it that was done to prevent the overwhelming ability of the original medium pulse buffs. The general quirks on it actually make it a better sniper than the 9S. You can put ER large lasers on there that can reach out over 900 meters and still be at full damage capacity. So it's very funny that they would try to requirk a mech to make it less effective in one sense, but have it because of that, make it very effective in 2 roles instead of just 1 role. While the one that they originally seemed to have designated to be more of a sniper, a more long range, build, is good, but it really isn't the best.
No, I completely agree. I think if anything was to get the proper PPC quirks as high as the Thunderbolt did, I would say the only thing I would feel comfortable getting that high of PPC quirks or anything like that would be the Awesome, or something that's very much PPC based around.
And the funny thing is with that, Cattra, that the Awesomes did get nice PPC quirks.
Oh, they got excellent PPC buffs,
I
but they didn't get enough in comparison to like the Thunderbolt.
Yeah, the Thunderbolt did get buffed out a bit more than I think it needed to in that regard. But I wouldn't, to balance it out, I would not buff the Awesomes up any more than they already have been. I think if you do that, it's going to be you aren't going to balance them. You're going to make them way, way too overpowered. Even right now, with chain firing or alphaing PPCs or ER PPCs, depending on the variant, they are incredibly effective with it. So if PGI does do something in regards to the PPC quirks, I would say just toning down the 9S would be the way to go. You don't need to do anything else besides toning it down. Maybe, trying to buff the awesomes up or another mech up to compensate isn't necessary at this point.
Trying to think of anything else here. What else has shifted in the meta? I mean, clans are still the same two mechs.
Fire starters have shifted.
Really?
Yep.
Is it?
When quirks first came out, the fire starter to have, the fire starter to run was the fire starter A with the eight small pulse.
small pulses. Yeah, is that
Yeah.
still not the
That-
current?
That it's still one of the best, but with the way the requirking worked, it did get toned down a little, so it can't alpha as much. It can alpha maybe 2-3 times if you're pushing it to bring a good amount of firepower. The range quirk, I believe, got taken off, so you have to, if you want extra range on it, you have to be carrying the weapon module for it. But at the same time, the other fire starters got touched up. So really right now there is not a bad fire starter variant with the quirks. The Ember is viable, the S is viable, the H and the K are both viable. I know one of them, I think it was the H, had that weird large laser quirk to it, which no one really understood why it had that. I think it was on there because the champion build might have, no, it was the S, the champion S had a large laser built into it, and so the quirks kind of reflected the champion build, but no one was running it because you don't really run a fire starter as a long range sniper. You run it as a quick skirmisher. You run it as as a mech that can get in and out very quickly, that can do a lot of damage and cause general confusion and mayhem. So right now, I would say fire starters are all very well balanced. They are really light to have. If you're running IS mechs, you don't have fire starters in your mech bays, you really need to get them. They are hands down well above the Jenner, well above the Spider, well above the Raven. I mean, the only thing that would keep a Spider or a Raven in your stable is the fact that they can, the variants of them can carry ECM. But if
Oh,
you're
let's not joke about the Hugin though. I've recently picked one of those up and fell in love instantaneously. The amount of missiles you can just throw through that thing.
Oh yeah. There are some extra standouts. The Hugin for the Ravens, the Oxide. I was very pleased to see that the Oxide, with the way the quirks were applied to it, makes it viable. I never thought I'd see it because you couldn't bring jump jets, which for a Jenner, not having jump jets is a death sentence. You are, the way that it's built, the blockiness of its torso, the way that that front CT sticks out, makes it so easy to just kill. But the Oxide, with the quirks, those SRMs can just murder you if you aren't paying proper attention to him. If he gets behind you, he's going to open your back up. He'll probably leg you. He can and will destroy you if you ignore him. The Hugin is just as dangerous, and it does have jump jets. The SRM, it can only carry 2 SRM4s, but with Artemis and the fastest engine you can put in it, it is very dangerous. It's probably one of the few non-fire starter lights that I would recommend taking.
And you said the Jenner isn't that good. I still see them every now and then. What's been keeping the Jenner down recently?
It just doesn't seem to stack up as well to the Firestarter. It's almost as fast, it's almost as as agile with jump jets, but in terms of firepower, it seems to fall short next to the Firestarters. I mean, the K and the I believe it's the J can both run good laser builds on them, but it just they don't feel as sturdy. They don't feel as solid as the fire starters do. They don't feel as fast. They don't feel as maneuverable, even though they should. Even though on paper the Jenner should stack up as well to the fire as well as the fire starter does. The fire starter just feels better, and it's not just me that's saying that. It's a lot of players, both in community warfare, in casual play, and in competitive play, are saying that the fire starters are the king of the lights right now. Maybe it has to do with just the geometry of them in game. Maybe it has to, as I said earlier, it's the way the Jenner's built, that huge CT that juts right out. The legs on it feel a little larger, so it's easier to leg. The rear torso feels like it's larger, so it's easier to blast it in the back and take it out. While the fire starter, it feels like it's a much more difficult mech to destroy. To leg it is more difficult. To core out its back is more difficult. To core it out from the front is very difficult.
So yeah, I don't think there's a whole lot more. Do you got any idea of anything that we could talk about a little bit more? Because I mean, besides meta shifting, and current maps and stuff like that, there's really not a whole lot else that's been happening.
Well, we have seen some new mechs coming onto the field. We have the Wave 2 mechs of the clans that have dropped, at least for those who have purchased the pack. The King Crab is out for MC, and we are still waiting now to see.
I think the King Crab. Sorry to interrupt you. I think the King Crab drops for Sea Bills tomorrow. I want to say.
It's either no. I think it's the 20th. I think it's next week, the 20th. Yes.
Okay. I know I've been sitting on a bunch of Sea Bills for that currently as well. So
yeah, you've for the Wave 2 clan mechs, it really seems the Hellbringer is the big overall winner of that pack. If you did not purchase that pack, if you're looking to pick up any of them, I'd say Hellbringer should be at the top of the list. The Mistlinks, it's just not it's not, it's fun to run, but if you're in a very competitive match, or if you're in a very close match, it's probably a waste of space. It's the all of its weapons are in its arms. They're low slung. It's not as fast as the IS lights. It basically has the armor of a spider, but has the hitboxes of the Jenner. So it just is not a good mech to be running around in against a against a hardened opponent. The Ice Ferret I've seen some good builds on it, but if you're in a competitive match that's decided by weight class, why take an Ice Ferret when you can take a Stormcrow? If you're in one that's decided by tonnage, 45 tons right there, you're better off taking a Cicada or a Blackjack than you are taking an Ice Ferret. It might have a bit better speed, but weaponry wise, the Blackjack and Cicada are better. The Gargoyle, I have not personally found a way to fully use it yet. I've tried running some of the suggested meta builds on it, and they just don't feel successful. It if there are clan mechs that should be up for getting quirked, those three are right at the front of the group, because at the moment they they just don't feel like they have a place. There are other clan mechs that can do the jobs that they do and do them far better.
Yeah, I don't. It's hard to say. I know. Yeah, clan. I think the gargoyle for me, I found really good success in bunch of medium lasers, either medium laser spam or large laser medium laser spam. That's about it. Not much else you can do with it. Though I have seen one with a Gauss in the arm and medium lasers in the rest that did decently. But yeah, I agree. The gargoyle's a weird thing.
And unfortunately, it with I think this is one of the problems for all three of them is all three, the way the omnipods are set for them currently, they all have to keep weaponry, almost all of their weaponry in their arms, and that it's just way too easy to destroy those arms and to, basically turn them into a stick. There are only, I believe, two variants right now, one for the ice ferret and one for the gargoyle, that that have a weapon slot in the center torso, and that's just not enough. I really think PGI, in order to help make those mechs more viable, they either need to get some more quirks out for them, or they need to get more omnipods out, omnipods that will allow you to shift weapons into the torsos. Oh, and yeah, I've just been reminded in chat that the Mad Dog is, did come with it, and yeah, the Mad Dog is pretty good for, as a learn boat. Brawling, yeah, I wouldn't take one as a brawler.
It's really squishy.
Yeah, those side torsos especially are, they're big and blocky targets. But that said, in community warfare, I've seen them used very effectively as streak boats. Pair them up with some storm crows, and they are absolutely murderous, because you can run 6 streak 6s on there and still have room for lasers to back them up. So if you should happen to run into a mech or mechs that are carrying a lot of ECM coverage, and where you would normally be, not be able to lock on even with an active probe, because there's more ECM than what you and your lance mates can cut through. You have backup weapons, and we've seen that shifting in the CW meta. We saw a lot of streak crows running around with the 6 streak 6s, and you'd suddenly see a onslaught of ECM mechs coming over and through the gates, you know 10, 11, 12 spider 5Ds, and you'd see clan pilots ejecting immediately because they couldn't do anything. They had taken all streaks, and they just didn't have enough active probes to negate all that ECM at once. So they'd be ejecting to get into something, something that had direct fire on it. And then you'd see basically the Steiner Scout Lance of all Atlas DDCs press in after that, and that, there are some good videos that have been put up of it, and it's actually very funny to watch from both the Inner Sphere perspective and from the clan perspective of it.
Well, I think we'll wrap things up here now. Hopefully next week we'll have a lot more to talk about, or at least discussion points, than this week. This week it was just let's sit down, say what's happening, what's up, a couple things here and there, pump out an episode, and next week we will hopefully have a lot better of an episode than this week. So let's get back to blowing shit up in giant stompy robots.
Always fun.
You have been listening to the Armored Combat Escalation Service podcast. As always, this has been your host, Brandon, also known as Cattra, Kell. And in the chat today, at the end of this episode, we've had Sinister Stocks, Tychron, 12 Bravo, Deathspoke, Dots Gemini, Hell's Dog, Man, Outreach User 1, Rush 2112, TIE Fighter, and Ziomer. Oh,
don't forget
and Stickman Reaper. Yeah, I completely forgot about that. Yeah.
Actually, that's one of the promotions. Stickman has been an applicant. His application has gone through. He is now a member of ACES, so he now holds the rank of Joker. So everyone, congratulations to him.
Everybody clap. Do it. I demand it. Congratulations, Stickman.
Awesome.
So yes, thank you everybody for listening, and see you again next week.